Started. Well, welcome to the August 19th, 2025 session of TAPR-HamSCI technical session. My name is Dave, KV0S, and this week I've been dealing with Debian 13 on some machines and learning some of its ins and outs as some of the early discussion uh, was basically some of the same ideas. And also trying to reorganize a little bit. So um, that's it for me. Uh, Next on the list, we have Nathaniel, W2 NAF. Go ahead, Nathaniel.
Thanks, Dave. It's been a couple of weeks since I've been here, but it's been a very busy and full couple of weeks. 2 weeks ago, I was out at K3LR with a team of students and from both the Scranton and Case Western and some volunteers, and we did the installation of the personal space weather station out there. I think it went very well. I think Tim was very happy. I think the students had an amazing experience. Gary McKeaton did a nice write-up for hamsci.org about it. So the station seems to be running well. Then right as soon as we got back, we had the Meteor Scatter QSO party. And I think that was also a good success. I was up very early both of those days. We had a team of HamSci people on Zoom in the morning, and we were, operating back and forth on MSK 144. And, not all of it was Meteor Scatter. Certainly some was, but I know we had a good time. I think we generated a lot of data. And so now we need to try to get all the wave files back from people. I spent today working with our student Nina and Owen, and Nina especially. I think she's going to be taking the lead on this, be the lead student on this project in the future. She was working on writing up instructions for how people can upload those wave files to Zenodo. She has a good draft of that, so hopefully we'll have that out before the end of the week. Let's see. On Friday, I spent all day with Jonathan Rizzo, and I think that's going well. We got the VLF system back up and running at my house using mostly Elmer's hardware right now, but also using the new Behringer sound card. So Jonathan helped me get that back up. We're also, through Jonathan, we're also looking at having a collaboration with the ILDN, which is the Indian Lightning Detection Network. And that's run by a professor out in India by the name of Aaron Anirban Guha. And so we're working on getting that collaboration established. So that's very exciting. Some sad news from the VLF community. The major citizen science VLF leader who really did the majority of the work creating VLF RX tools and many of these other things, Paul Nicholson, he passed away this past week after a bout with cancer. So that was very unfortunate. I know Jonathan was really quite broken up about that, and the VLF community was very sad about all of that. Let's see. So then today, I'm getting ready to. Okay, so this coming weekend, I'm going to the Northeast Ham Exposition. So I'm going to be meeting with Bob Reif and I think Stan Pozerski and some of the other New England Grape Group people. They're going to be hosting a HamSci booth at the Northeast Ham Exposition in Marlborough, Massachusetts. I'm going to be the banquet speaker on Saturday night. So I need to get my banquet speaking put together. I think I'll probably do that Saturday morning after I hear Tim's talk. So K3LR is giving the banquet talk on Friday night. And then after that, we're going to Monday starts classes at the University of Scranton. So we are kicking off the semester again. I'll be teaching digital signal processing and foundations of physics and engineering. And I'm doing foundations of physics and engineering differently this year than I have in the past. I'm actually making Ham radio is now going to be a part of the curriculum instead of extracurricular. So I'm going to they're going I'm going to cover all the material in the technician license exam using the ARRL slides. Throughout the semester, students are going to have to take 8 different quizzes, and they're going to be quizzed on all the different questions organized by the ARRL book chapters. I got that all in the Bright Space today. The quizzes will count for 15% of their grade, and then the technician license exam will count for 20% of their final grade. So 35% of their grade is going to be just from knowing this technician material. And then they also have to spend at least 8 hours participating in W3USR technical activities. So we're really trying to get that going. I'm also going to be teaching them soldering this semester. We have a small soldering project where they're going to build a small, inexpensive FM transmitter, which is going to be quite fun. And then we'll listen to that with the RTL SDRs. So that's really going to kickstart that. I should also say, Dave Witten, I got your Pi eliminator today, so I will have to take a look at that. Jonathan Rizzo also told me he came up with another way of doing it, and I don't know if you had talked about that at all or what you had thought about. So he just mentioned that to me on Friday. I don't have a particularly strong feeling one way or the other, but I know there are different things out there. I will certainly give this one a try, or I'll talk to you about that. And the other, let's see, other news in terms of the personal space weather station front. I got a really good deal on the 2-port Leo Bodners. I ordered 30 of them. The cost was the same price that I had budgeted for the single port ones. So basically, for what I had budgeted for the single port ones, I bought 30 of the 2-port ones. And the trick was that they got stuck in customs in the UK. And I finally got an email today that after we had filled out a bunch of forms, the customs released it, and supposedly they're supposed to be delivered tomorrow. So we'll see if that actually happens. They didn't actually ask me to pay for any tariffs, but hopefully next week I'll be able to tell you that we have 32 Port Leo Bodner SDRs. Back in July, I had ordered 25 RX 888s, also at a very good price. Unfortunately, that order got canceled, and I don't know why, but we looked into it this week and we found out it was canceled. So we did place another order on Amazon for 25 RX 888s. It hasn't been canceled yet, so hopefully we'll still get our 25 RX 888s. And then with our 2-port Bodners, we'll be in good shape. So I think that is the update. Back to Net.
Very good. Next on the list is Dave Witten, KD0EAG. Go ahead.
Well, I've been working very hard to make code to make the magnetometers work with those B links once you get them, and having to learn way more about coding with AI than I ever wanted to. But on the other hand, it's wonderful about giving me documentation and that I would otherwise doubtless never get around to. And it's an adventure, to say the least, as well as trying to reconnect my house Wi-Fi mesh, my house, my local LoRaNet, I don't know, everything's a mess. But and then leaving town on Saturday, so for 2 weeks. So don't know whether I'll be checking in from Stockholm or wherever or not. But we'll see. Anyway, staying busy. That's really all I can think of right this instant. Over to y'all. Back to y'all.
I think you're muted, Dave. KV0S.
Next on the list is Bob, N5BRG. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, hello everybody. I busily working away on my projects here, printing 3D printing boxes and checking out PC boards, but I haven't got anything to really show yet. So just listening in tonight. Good to see everybody.
Okay. Next on the list is Clint, KA7OEI. Go ahead, Clint.
Hello, everyone. Been busy with things other than ham radio, except that we did get we had to replace the B-Link that's up in northern Utah with another one because the original one kept crashing and falling over. We don't know why yet. I was noticing that it is staying up, but it's doing noticeably worse than the comparable Kiwis on the bands where we can do the direct comparison, and not sure why that is. So that's a thing we'll have to look into. It's if you look at the top spotters on below 40 meters, you'll see that there's quite a deficit. So don't know why that is exactly. I have some suspicions that it's probably the amount of noise on those bands causing desensing or clipping or something, but we'll have to look into that. Anyway, nothing else. Back to you.
Okay. Next on the list is uh, David the H, W6OQ. Go ahead.
Evening from Los Angeles. As usual, I'm just here seeing what I can learn. Thanks.
Okay, and next on the list is Dave Julian, WB9YIG.
Good
Go
evening.
ahead, Dave.
Yeah. Uh, just been cleaning up, getting ready for a ham fest, and I just wanted to pass out there. If anybody needs any ECG components or Motorola two-way radio semiconductors or whatever, I probably got 50 pounds that I'll be selling as a lot. So if there's any ECGs that you guys want, just let me know. Yeah, they're yours. So I'll be glad to give them away to anybody that can use them. I'll post my email on the chat there real quick if anybody wants them. That's all.
Okay, next on the list is Jay Schwartz, WB7SBI. Go ahead, Jay.
Well, I didn't know I QSY to my QTH to 7 land there. Anyway, so nothing really new ham radio wise this week. Just reading the mail tonight and nothing really new. I've got to there's a local machine shop here I've got to make contact with about getting a new bracket made for my Morphine junk antenna so I can get back on HF. Because right now, without that, my H antenna radiates very well into the ground.
Oh.
So anyway, that's about all it's doing here. 7-3 to everybody. Hope everybody is staying cool. That now that we got rid of that oppressive hot weather here in the Midwest and no more Canadian wildfires, smoke that we have to breathe. So 73 to all, and back to Nit.
Okay. Next on the list, let's see. Oh, Jim, K4BSE. Go ahead, Jim.
Good evening. Well, I learned last Tuesday night on our local 2-meter ARES net that I was the program for the club here in 2 weeks. And I did not know that before. And the topic that I am going to present on is an update on the HamSCI stuff that I did last year. So Nathaniel was good enough to send me some very useful information that got me ahead of this game. And I've been working kind of intently on trying to get that polished up and ready for a presentation a week from this coming Thursday. Not there yet, but I am making progress and I appreciate it, Nathaniel. Back to net K4BSE.
Okay. Next on the list is Paul Elliott, WB6CXC. Go ahead, Paul.
Oh, that could be me. Hi, everybody. Sorry, I just got here. I apologize. Just been working, trying to get the The time sync stuff up and running. I got a transmitter running now. Actually, I've sent email to Rob and Scott about the particulars. I'm guessing I'm gonna have to pull that down off the air pretty quickly. It's in spite of it being within within the legal limits for occupied bandwidth. Uh, the transients, the hard phase shift transients, do propagate out pretty far, probably far enough that somebody's going to complain about it. So I guess the whole thing, as simple as possible, but no simpler. Well, I think I found out it it was too simple. So we'll see. So that's the good news is that means I get to design something new. But what I have been working on is going to work well, I believe, for the injector into the receiver. So that work is hardly wasted. Anyway, oh, and I got the balance on the Turn Island System website. So if somebody actually wants to buy a couple, just let me know. And so back to net.
Okay. Next on the list is Phil, K9Q. Go ahead, Phil.
Hey guys, let's see what I've been doing last week. Pull requests on KNIQ radio, um, digging into bugs of my own. Mostly, it's been hardware stuff, cleaning out the shack and beating back a almost living pile of junk that has been encroaching on my chair. Makes it hard to even get in there. I can actually move around. My wife says she didn't forgotten there was actually a floor under all that stuff. Also, continuing to try to beat back on the EMI problems in my hardware here, learning a lot of things. Thanks to Cliff again for your help, and also Paul and N6GN have been very helpful and giving me ideas how to clean that stuff up. Let's see, software-wise, new features. Been about to start work on a method to log data to do Allen variance measurements using KNIQ radio. If you've got two high stability clocks, you can use KNIQ radio to measure one against the other and store all that data and do an Allen variance chart. I think that might be helpful. Might bring a few time nuts into this, or actually, I've been resisting the temptation to become a time nut myself. Um, let's see. A few other projects, little things I'm about to start that I've probably forgotten about at the moment, so they must not be important. Anyway, back to you, Dave.
Okay. Next on the list is Scott Newell in 5TNL.
Hey, I got to work this weekend, so I'm a few days behind. But thanks to GNU Radio and Clint, I was able to find my AWGN bug. I'm now running multicast over the network, and I've got the 888 sort of working with GNU Radio, thanks to Tom's video. And I just received the Paul Elliott local timing reference, so I've started testing that out. And that's it for me.
Well, very good. Sounds like a productive week. Next on the list is Tom, KJ6MKI. Go ahead, Tom.
Oops.
Whoops.
Well, little feedback there.
Got a problem here.
We hear the feedback. If you can figure that out, you're welcome to talk.
I think he's been abducted by aliens there.
Okay.
Sounds like Forbidden Planet to me.
Well, Tom, I'll let you think about it, and we're going to go to the next Tom. Tom N5EG. Go ahead.
Okay, good evening, Dave. Everyone in the group been working on layout of the 4-channel receiver all Saturday, and half of today was trying to debug a component model problem. And there was no way to do it with the KiCad GUI tools. Ended up having to go edit the actual ASCII file generated by the tools. One IC component is 7,000 line text file. and was finally able to figure out how to edit it, and a good competent text editor fixed it, cleared that one, and the next we'll be trying to figure out how to route that Samtech connector that the FX10 plugs onto. It's a surface mount connector. It's got 400 little bitty dots on the top side of the board, and that's it. And that's not enough routing channels. And so one's going to have vias in there, and they're going to have to be real tiny vias in between the connector pins. So that should be interesting. Back to the group.
Very good. Next on the list is Tom Yarnish. Go ahead. Guess that's Tom. Maybe he can do it on this channel. Anyway, the only other person I haven't talked to is Rob. So Rob Robinette.
The cleanup hitter.
Yes.
I know why too, and I deserve it. The I've been working the last week was stimulated by we've been working with Dr. Gerald Bulger. I don't know his UK call. I know he's I may have mentioned him before, but anyway, he's a traveling doctor and has established a what is a Whisper Demon Daisy site. Really, it doesn't have the magnetometer, but it's in St. Helena Island down in the South Atlantic. And so we met. Dave, you were with us, and
Yes.
as was Paul and Nathaniel, to see about what Jerry's going to be making a trip down to the South Atlantic, and has proposed to install. We'll upgrade the system that's running on St. Helena that he's already installed, but he's proposing to install a similar system on Ascension Island, which is really quite an extraordinary site south of the equator in the South Atlantic. So that stimulated me to set up a stage and prepare what would be two B-Link systems for him. One for Ascension and with a RX888, and a second B-Link that would replace the i5 system that's currently attached to the RX888 in St. Helena. Well, that led me into the whole black hole of going through the installation process on Debian 12. And as it turned out, I installed, it's not hard to install it, but I looked over at the power meter. And one of the things that's of great concern on these islands is power consumption. And I was alarmed to see that the 5825U B-Links that I had recommended to the HamSCI group for the DAISY deployments were sitting there consuming 40 watts, basically peak power consumption all the time. So that's led me through a whole weekend of learning about power management and on contemporary CPUs. And it turns out that Debian 12 doesn't have the right drivers in it to support the power control functions. I learned all about cache performance, in the fall, the spring. It looks like summer is my time to learn about power control of CPUs. So if you have a CPU, there's an incredible library of features built into the CPU that I've never was aware of before. And the immediate one, I learned about caching performance and how to optimize for that. Now I'm learning that there's all kinds of power control features, but you really need to have a current Linux kernel. Seems like at least for the B-Link, you need at least a kernel 6.8 kernel, Linux kernel, or newer. And Debian 12 had 6.0 in it. So I've just now brought up Debian 13, which Phil clued me in, has been released recently. And it includes, I think it's 6.12. Let's see what it is. The name dash A. It's yeah, 6.12 kernel, which supports all of these power control features in the CPU. So I'm hoping that with that by with the new kernel, they'll be able to have our systems that go out to DAISY sites consume closer to 20 watts on average, or 25 watts, rather than 40 watts. And of course, that also means that the CPUs run a lot cooler. So anyway, I'm much of the way through that. There are other features that I've uncovered. I did notice in this process, one of the opportunities I've been concerned about is our security of our system, or liability associated with putting out DAISY systems and having them attached to users' home networks. There's a potential liability. I mean, one approach is and that Michael Howen, I don't think he's with us tonight. I don't know if
No.
he is. That Michael was going to explore running Whisper Daemon under Proxmox, where we could restrict Whisper Daemon, give it root access, which it needs, but restrict its access to only the public internet, not to the LAN of the home it's installed in. A second approach, which I've been testing, is to use an iPhone and tether it, or other tethering device, and connect through the cell phone network. And that works surprisingly well. I have an extra mobile phone line and an old iPhone 12, and it works remarkably well. I mean, the drivers are there in Debian, and you can install the drivers for tethering and bring it up. And so that's an option. For me, that extra line costs $15 a month, 32 gigs of high-speed access, which is more than we use in a month for a DAISY site. So for sites where there's a concern about this issue, or where the network access isn't very good, that's now an option. There are other things that I'm learning now that apparently can actually control the power on the USB port. I noticed with my iPhone, I noticed that as the CPU was powered up, I noticed that the iPhone would beep, as they do when they get external power. And I noticed it was beeping several times, indicating the power on the cable to the host computer was being turned on and off. So that's an area I want to explore, because the 888, I don't know if anyone else has encountered this, but I have encountered 888s that basically go away. They just disappear. You can't, and the only solution is to replug them. And I think that's going to be a real problem in our DAISY deployments if we have to do that. So until we have our own, as I think, who was it? Elmer named it, the DV8. Until we have our own, we need to be able to use the 888s as they are, with all of their frailties. And of course, we're discovering, we continue to discover them over time. But in any case, I want to explore how to. It seems like the newer kernel, maybe I can figure out how to access and control the power. So I was alarmed over the weekend about my recommendation of the 5825, but I'm now learning about it, that it just really, I need to know more about Linux. Anyway, that's enough for right now. I'll go back to the network. We can discuss other things later. So.
Yes. Well, I think we've gone through all the people. If there's anybody out there that I have not called on, we called on Tom, but he had some issues. I don't know if Tom
I
wants to
think
make
I've
a
got
comment.
it set. I had two instances of Zoom running, causing all kinds of grief here. Anyway, I've been out of the loop for a while, been preoccupied with health issues and a bunch of other stuff, but I have been working in the background supporting Rob with my 888. And I was noticing the mess in Nathan's office in the background, strangely familiar. I'm living in I'm lost in my own evidence here. It's pretty bad. So hope to get things cleaned up and become a little more operational. That's all I have for today. Nice weather here in Northern California.
Well, and welcome back.
Yeah, good to see you guys again.
Yes.
Back to net.
So I think we've called on everybody.
Not quite.
Oh, Dave. You
Hi,
always
David
jump
Inwood,
in
HAC. Yeah, I came in late. My
late.
schedule these days is a bit different. But anyway, nothing major to report. Very good to hear about what happened at that Western contest station. Yeah, my primary thing right now is working on this satellite ground station, 450 megahertz, which is being annoying because all the amateur gear is tuned to the low end of the band, not the high end of the band. So I've had to buy a new antenna. I have to retune, if possible, a preamp and all this good stuff. But we're moving along with it. The good news is our satellite, the real CubeSat, is giving us data now. So things are moving along with that guy. Back to net.
Very good. So at this point, I think we're open for general discussion.
Question. If this was mentioned before I showed up this evening, my apologies, but I believe there was a discussion with MIT about some of this radio measurement collaboration. Did anything come of that? Nathaniel, I think that was your thing, right? Whoop, are you talking? I can't. You're muted.
I was involved in that. They're working on a grant proposal, and I think they got the information that they needed, and they are working on it. So, one of the things that I'm hopeful is that it's not necessarily going to be part of this proposal, but I'm hoping that if this proposal does get funded, that they will pay more attention to KA9Q radio and to the Whisper Demon system. And I'm also hoping they might help us with the software for doing the pulse per second timing. And the reason I'm hopeful that they might do it is because they are the people that actually wrote digital RF, and they deal with this sort of thing all of the time. Like they have expertise in meteor radars and things like that. And I think if we were to somehow get them involved in that, it would whatever they do would be consistent with what MIT Haystack does. It would just make the consistency of the whole system very good, and you'd have people who do that sort of stuff all the time just do it. So I'm hoping that it leads to something like that.
Good, thank you.
N1 HAC from WB8SBI. Hey, Dave, you said from a CubeSat. Which CubeSat are you listening to?
It's called REAL, REAL. And it's a particle detector in low Earth orbit. Pick up particles coming in from the radiation belts.
Who launched it?
Well, NASA launched it on a Falcon 9 for us.
No, what I mean was who built it? Who?
We did. Dartmouth and Dartmouth is PI, and Montana is the secondary. They actually built it. We were the PI though.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, it was also along with the Tracers spacecrafts. It's a twin spacecraft that also had a Dartmouth connection. Jim LaBelle, my other boss, is the science PI on that one. Both seem to be doing well.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Well, since someone else is talking, when did it go up?
I can't remember exactly. It's been 2, 3 weeks, and I'm involved with Real, not so much with tracers, but I had a little bit of hand in tracers early on. But yeah, Real, we're shaking it out. Just beginning to get telemetry. Well, we've gotten telemetry back, and now we're beginning to get data back.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Dave Witten, are you there?
Yeah, I'm more or less in spirit.
In spirit. So you said you're working on the software. I have the thing now. What do I need to do to try it out?
Well, there's really only one program I have that would allow you to test it in any way at all. And it doesn't give you anything very interesting back. So if you could wait a day or so, 2 or 3, I hope to have, a regular program to read it. But I've spent the last couple of days persuading ChatGPT-5 to write a parser for the configuration information, like you kind of indicated you would like to see. And in and since there's such vivid opposition to using JSON, everybody seems to hate JSON, but me.
Why do people hate
with
JSON so much?
with a passion.
Really? What?
Well, actually,
Why?
I reserve my real passion and hate for XML.
Okay. Is it because it's so verbose?
It's verbose. It's hard to read, and it's supposed to be human readable. It's even harder to write because every little colon and comma matters.
Yeah.
Well, they
Okay.
do matter, frankly, but I've tried, there's just nothing else that's suitable. I mean, CSV is, crazy. INI is nuts on it. If you're not a Windows programmer, and even that's not totally consistent. Almost anything you use for this kind of purpose. I thought about just taking what you were doing um, in radio, in the K9Q radio stuff. But I really just also I wanted to see what the Chat GPT would come up with if I just specified exactly what I wanted. And it kind of makes for a lot of code, but of a niggling sort that I would absolutely hate to have to write. But it's it's reproducible. It gives me tests and so on and so forth. And so it's just key value pairs written to a text file, one line per one value per line. And I thought that would. I know Bill Engelke really doesn't like having to deal with it. I think he just doesn't know. But it's the standard for programmers, but it's not amongst the rest of the world, I guess. And just as far as I'm concerned, everything else is just worse. It's not that I like it; it's everything else is just worse.
Yeah, I mean, my personal opinion is what you had in the first version was fine for what we're doing, and it gets the data up to Bill Engelke's server fine, and I was okay with it.
Yeah, but there's always been a need for a static configuration file instead of the command line.
Yeah.
I mean, I presume I'll put the command line in there too, but
Yeah.
This has been a good exercise for me.
Yeah.
And it seems to have written it's code that's just full of error checking that I couldn't bear to write. And so and besides, I was planning to write a utility, a little forms-based utility to let you configure this thing also. So you don't have to write it. You don't have to even look at it, but it'll be easy to read, I should hope. It's just key and value. And with
I guess if you write the code in such a way right now that it just puts it out in the same format that the original code was putting out, then it makes for an easy drop-in replacement to send things up to Bill Engelke's server, right?
Well, Bill never liked. Well, I mean, the output, the sampling output can be whatever it is. He was never happy with what I basically created. I had two options at one time. One for JSON object, serializable JSON, which seems very easy to me to read, and I had one for comma separated values, which I just abhor, but at least, it's so ill-defined. But anyway, I don't even know which one he's been taking in or what he wants, but that's kind of a different question. That's the output from the program, not the input. And that's very easy to write because it's just one, printf per per 1 second sample. And so it just loops around that. And I can make it like what he's had before, though I was taking out the things you all didn't um, like raw values and and things that Jules and I used a lot. Um, and but the file lets you specify, I believe, everything that you are specifying. Input file specifies what the parameters are that the magnetometer is running under, with the additional information of who's the owner, what is the node name, what is the what's the latitude and longitude and elevation of the site, and what's the orientation of the sensor. So and those is particularly the orientation of the sensor was something you were interested in. And so I put that all in there. And I must say it's amazing some of the things the ChatGPT has thrown in there. It's following my niggling little rules that generates all the dumb code, but I just told it to give me a conventional conventional latitude, longitude, and I also told it about the north, south, east, west thing, and several other places. I told it to just give me the what's most commonly used, and boy, it did it way better than I could have imagined. Yeah, it's very clever. But and it generated me all kinds of nice test cases. So so far so good. It was a piece that had to be written. The main loop of the program is not such a big deal. And I had the driver part already. So, I used Google for that one, and Gemini, and though I don't know, all of them hand you over to Claude and Sonnet, and I don't know what all they're doing. And I think I'd rather not. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night. But the and there's nothing in programming. There's not one, the name of a language, the name of a tool, name of, there's absolutely they reinvent everything every 6 months, and it's kind of infuriating. But this thing wants to create blades, and this thing wants to create sheets, and this thing wants to do, and it's especially for the web APIs. But anyway, I wanted to make this creatable and any configuration to be configurable from a from an installation environment, and editable too in the future, because that's where an awful lot of the problems come from. And also more flexible in how it's used. But I'm not trying to solve all those problems all at once right now. I'm just trying to get the basics out there for you to work with while I'm gone. Also, I need to know. I think I'm going to go ahead and do it, but I would love to have you testing it, because because I want to order some more of those boards. And I think the only thing that's wrong with the ones I made is that a few of the screw holes are not where I intended them to be. And so I had to use a little double-sided tape to hold, give a little extra reinforcement where you plug in the USB-C cable. But other than that, and I can go ahead and order those. But I don't know. I won't order the little modules that go on them until you want. Actually, somebody else is going to need to solder these things together, I think. Um, uh, it's got that 40-pin connector on it and so forth. But I'll really try to get you something you can test, even if it's not a finished product. But boy, this stuff sucks in everything, including me, into the stuff. It's amazing what it can do. But don't let anybody tell you it makes life easier. I mean, it makes big results easier, maybe, but it doesn't, big end products. But for my purpose, for a parser, I needed to be very, very clear about what I wanted it to do. And and when I didn't do it just right, it did what it thought I might want to do, and that wasn't right. So anyway, I wish I could use. I would rather use something else. I don't want to make it hard, but if there's just a little form-based editor, a little web form that you can put in each of the values and have a constrained list of what the potential values are, then I don't know how to make it much easier than that. And hopefully write these things, then it just writes out the configuration. But the ingestion process I've never been able to really get a handle on what goes on in Alabama. So I don't know what they're doing with the code they receive.
Well, I know that the files that go up to them, they are getting stored on their site, and I can go download them and I can plot them. So it is working.
Uh-huh. But there's meta information that goes to them also, was what I always understood,
Right.
About the site. And I've never had any idea what that is.
Oh, sorry, which part exactly?
I don't know. I don't know what the parts are.
Okay.
I'm assuming that they are, certainly about who's sending it to him. I would guess, but I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. Have you been on the site at all?
not in quite a while. It I never could find anything useful.
Okay. So let's see if I can do this. So like if I log in here and I can log in with my call sign. So here, this is the observations my ground magnetometer just uploaded yesterday, or just now. So we need to get this fixed because there should be a summary plot when you click it, but it does tell you who uploaded it, that it was the magnetometer. And you can download the data here. If you download that, you get this zip file, and then I can unzip it.
Maybe you could send me one of those zip files.
And I think
that looks like my output log.
Yeah. So
Uh-huh.
so they are taking your output log exactly.
Okay, well, I'm happy to
Yeah.
see that. Uh-huh.
Yeah. So that's what I'm saying. If you just for now just keep doing exactly what you're doing, because
Yeah.
this is getting up there.
Yeah, it's the other stuff it's that block at the top of above the data.
That's missing. Yeah, I don't see any metadata block here.
Yeah, there's no metadata in that file. I just don't believe in
Right.
doing that, you
Right.
know.
But like if you there is metadata. So it does say it's associated with my station. If you click on my station, if you look at any of these stations include metadata, so you can find out the latitude, the longitude, the grid square, elevation, and other comments that the person puts in when they create this account. So that's where the metadata is linked to that.
Okay, so he's storing that on his site.
Yes.
Okay, so he's not pulling that from it. I don't know. I don't have an account there, and I don't have. I had always understood that he wanted to see a separate file for this other information. And I still think it's a good idea, but
Yeah.
I really do think it's clearer than what I've done in the past, to just passing it on a command line that's run on the reporting station is a little flaky in some ways. Okay, well, I see. There's something there, grid square. I don't think about grid squares much, but
Yeah.
but I can put a field in for that. But I'm thinking about the setup of a new
Right.
say, and a lot of this is very almost trivial stuff. It's
But
not.
actually what you're saying is it's a big problem, because if we're going to get the right now to set up one of these personal space weather stations, the whole thing, to get the magnetometer metadata set up correctly and installed, and then to get the Whisper Daemon metadata set up correctly and installed, and then to do the VLF, it's a major undertaking. And so all three of these instruments all have their own kind of quirks and their own way of doing things, and somehow we need to get to a unified system.
Yeah. Well, at least for my part of it, I'm happy to write a little utility to allow information, or to be sure that the creation of that configuration file is automatable as far as it can be.
Yeah. And I think what's gonna I think what we need to have happen is we need to have one group, one one person or one group write one installation script for this whole thing. I don't know if we task that to Alabama or how we do that, but I think I think that's where we're going to need to get to. But I think as long as you're providing the underlying, you've provided magnetometer code that works and is reading the magnetometer, and it's giving us the data in a format that we can use. I think that can then be pulled into a bigger system.
Sure. Sure.
So,
yeah. Well, I can, as far as an installation setup or something, I can write more than one if I have to over time.
yeah.
But um, I really would like to address the larger problem of using the magnetometer for various types of uses other than
Yeah.
just putting it out in a hole in the ground.
Right.
I still have some ideas of my own, but and I keep working on that, but I don't want to get it to get in the way of immediate needs. Yeah. Well, I'm I want to give you something simple that you can, you know, see if it operates and see if it provides the data that people want. That output from the old one, everybody has always asked me, why are these RX, RY, RZs in there, and what are these other things? Um, and there's always been a command line option to turn them off, but nobody, people got bored before they got that far. And I don't know that that's necessary for anybody's ingestion scheme. I was not even going to put that stuff into this code, but I can. Um, I don't think anybody uses it for anything. What they do use is that totalized field, the field value, it's a 3D, not a vector. And in fact, an awful lot of what I've seen graphed is really graphing that vector, the one value, this all by itself. That's the summation of those three vectors. But so I was going to put that in there. I'm going to keep the timestamps the same. I'm going to keep the file naming the same. So I don't want to change anything I don't have to. But parsers are always so much fun.
Yeah.
Honestly, I've got in a lot of the old code, I keep going through it looking for clues to what I was thinking, and I've got all kinds of code in there for complete JSON input, not output. That's a much harder problem, and but it's all commented out. So I decided not to do JSON.
Yeah. I don't have. I think the JSON's okay, but
Well, I put that back in. It's tested code that there's and we also want that stuff to compile wherever it is without pulling down libraries. One thing that's been good is that I think for most people, the process of installing one really involved compiling it because you had several different potential settings. And so I didn't want people to have to go out and find libraries and install them and stuff like that. That's kind of suicide these days. So I'm really using header only. I have header only libraries of the things I need, which means that I can distribute the whole code in a header file and it gets built at runtime, but it's somebody's tested code. But there's not much of that for things like INI files or things. maybe
Yeah,
XML, but I don't want to go to XML myself. Though I
right.
don't dislike it. I like the rigor of it, but
So I produced a graphing program for that magnetometer data and popped it out about a year ago, and I haven't really done much with it since then myself. Uh, I don't know if there was any interest in that, but I'm thinking, if you change it very much, my code will break probably. But I've been pushing my data up to your system, Dave. I don't know if it's passed on from there or not, but
well, I'm gonna be taking down that system, the old, the system on Linode, probably, because if I ever get time to do something like that, I really, that costs me $50 a month, um, I don't want to take down the Linode server, but I want to take it, redefine it, and use it for services and stuff. Um, yeah.
that's
Uh,
what my data look like, my
yeah,
graph.
I doubt very much that what you're doing there would be troubled much by any changes I'm making.
Okay,
Uh,
good.
the nice thing about the JSON is that almost every one of the kind of languages people are likely to want to use, notably JavaScript and Python. Um, uh, if you just open a JSON file, you can request each of the columns as it gives you a very simple interface to JSON that's just a couple of lines. Whereas I've got 700 lines just of C just to read this thing I created, um, and it's more more than a little bit of a monster, but it works.
Hmm.
So anyway, that I'm working hard on that. That's the bottom line there. But it all drops dead Friday night when I leave town. I don't think my wife will be happy if I sitting in a hotel room in Malmo or someplace and writing code. Um, she's gotten irritated about that before. Um, uh, so, but now I think there is a little misunderstanding with Jonathan about the needs. I don't think there's any cheaper solution.
Hmm.
What's the cost of or simpler solution than
Hmm.
um and there's 1,000 ways to read the I2C bus through a USB port. Any chip, virtually any microcontroller will do it, but that has those things. But he came across some very old code on the net that was before. It was mostly used by people before those things were baked into the chips
Mm.
quite so universally. And but there's some interesting stuff about how to make it look like a standard Linux I2C port, as a device in the device in the /dev registry. But that's not really the issue here. I don't need that. It's just
Hmm.
it's just enough open on whatever it can be on a raw on and so far what code I've got seems to be finding these things without any problem too, so it does just seem to work.
Yeah.
But at some point somebody's going to have to order 25 of whatever, presumably these little modules. The good ones all cost $15. One thing that was specific to the solution I used is it turns out those things, the way we designed them, both Scotty and I, really require both 5 volts and 3 volts. Um, at the remote, to be sent to them over the Cat5, or at least two voltages, and it regulates. And I was thinking everything's three volts, and so I'll just send 3 volt. I'll only deal with the 3 volts, and turns out that's been messing up a bunch of my designs for a while, making me very frustrated. But this particular module that I'm uses provides both, and the others do not.
Hmm. Well, I think once we have a working solution, I'm prepared to order 25 of these things. So
Yeah. I think the modules are, last I looked, they were $12.95 in quantity 25 from the guys in Las Vegas, and they had 180 of them in stock.
okay.
But I'll give you something you can see, but I'm working hard on it.
That sounds wonderful.
And that unfortunately keeps me away from working on
The other thing.
all the other things,
Yes.
various other things. I did have to pay some bills today too.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, thank you for working on this.
Well, it's really engineering wise, it's really pretty trivial, embarrassingly so, but
yeah,
it's got to fit. It's got to fit in the hole we got that we want to plug.
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah, no, thank you very much for working on that. And so I guess when you have something that you're ready for me to test code wise, let me know and I will do that.
It'll be a link to GitHub, so you'll be able it should be no problem at all to yank it down.
That sounds great. Rob, are you there?
I am here.
You are
Yeah.
there.
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm checking my Whisper Demon systems I have at my house right now, and it seems like they haven't been uploading to the Alabama server recently. And okay, at least the active vertical one I have, it's telling me when I run WDS, the recording process it says error. It gets a PID, but it's not running. And I've seen this happen before where the recorder would quit. Do you know any reason why that would happen?
Well, there's this problem that the server blacklists the account if
Okay.
there's a failure, and then each time Whisper Demon retries, it fails and keeps it in the blacklist.
Okay.
So
Oh boy.
I think in some check-in of Whisper Demon recently, I extended the retry, the timeout, the time between retries, so that it wouldn't fall into that black hole.
So if I just update Whisper Demon,
yes, if you just CD into CDW and do a get pull.
Uh-huh.
And
okay.
and do WDZ, WDA to put it to sleep and wake it up again.
Okay.
That new code will be installed and hopefully it will run. And if it doesn't, if you wanted to do that right now, if it doesn't do that for you, then I will go in and log in and fix it.
I am doing it right now on both machines.
I am so deep into installation error and these kinds of error station conditions is. I was going to let everyone know if a couple of things while you're doing that. Paul has made these little adapters, and for those of you who use Cat5, which is a really good way to transmit receive level signals, these provide a way to adapt and also to test your Cat5 cable, which is 100 ohm transmission line impedance. So you can measure the quality and the connectivity of your Cat5. So I think they're available on Paul's site, and anybody else who wants to use them. It's a superior transmission line to everything short of, what is it, LR40? I mean, the losses in even RG6 is not as, I think, not as good as, I don't know. Paul may know this if he's still around. He would know better than I, but
He's left.
okay. Well, we've see who's left here.
What do you call, what does he call those boards?
I don't know. Let's see.
He called them Ballons
Yeah.
just a
You
minute
said
ago.
something about a Ballon earlier. I wondered if that's what he's talking about there.
Well, it's simply a SMA, a Ballon, and a Cat 6 connector.
Cat5 connector.
Cat5 connector.
Yeah. Now, it's only connecting to, of course, one of the 4 twisted pair. So there's potentially you can use the other twisted pair, but anyway, I think for Glenn's SAS antenna, it uses Cat 5 or 6. It really doesn't make any difference. I mean, the Paul, if Paul's gone, he has measurements up there on his site which shows the losses on Cat 5 and 6 are almost equal. There's hardly any difference in frequency response. And I don't know if he compares them to RG6, but I think it's like 2 dB at 30 megahertz or something. It's a 2 dB a loss. It's not so different from Cat RG6. A lot easier to crimp them. But of course, if you have an unbalanced system, then that, twisted pair is inappropriate. But, let's see. So Nathaniel, at some point, hopefully we can, Paul and I can get reimbursed for all this equipment we're assembling and sending off to
we should talk
Oh,
about
we're going to do that through ARDC, not
Right,
through
yeah.
okay. Yeah. We have to get a proposal together to ARDC.
Yes, yeah, that's right. I was under the assumption, or from the emails, I was believing that you were trying to get that funded through ARDC.
Yes, that's
Yes.
the plan. I'm sorry, I forgot that, but I don't know who's ready to. Did we have someone who can help us prepare the ARDC proposal? Like what they review these once a quarter or something?
Yes.
Okay. Well, I mean,
so if you go, what you should do, Rob, is just go to the ARDC website, and there's a form that you fill out for writing the grant.
Oh yeah?
Yeah. It's very straightforward, and they tell you exactly what they want to know.
Oh. Okay.
And so what I would do is I would do that. And since you're going to run this through TAPR, just make sure Dave and
Yeah.
the TAPR board approves of it. And then
Yeah.
you would list TAPR as the fiscal sponsor.
Yeah. Okay.
We have a upcoming board meeting this weekend, so
And
I
if
don't
you,
think, but you're not, yeah, it just, yeah, I don't, I don't need the money right away, but I just
Yeah.
wanted to,
Yeah.
I've got stuff, I got several $1,000s worth of equipment back behind me, and
Yeah.
I
mean, and maybe Dave, Dave has a lot of experience writing grants and things like that.
yeah.
So maybe he can help you a little bit. I would help, but I am so
no, I don't, I'm not asking
underwater with.
I'm not, and I'm just trying to figure out, make sure that that doesn't get dropped, that
Yes.
somehow. But Dave, do you need anything more from us for the board meeting? Do you have what you need for your
I think just our meeting the other day told me what I need to tell the rest of the board.
Okay. Okay. And you saw you saw the
And
outline,
then Paul
Paul,
was there, so there's two of us that
yeah, two
have
of you
some
can,
memory of
yeah,
it.
yeah. Well, he shipped me the whisper sounded combiner. So this is I I didn't realize how small it is. I'm going to have to find a larger box because I'm going to have to add um the B links,
Yeah.
888 and a bunch of other cables and so on to get this off. But I did order through George. George is shipping the RF isolators, little isolator transformers. So
Yep.
he's shipping them to Jerry, and um, I'm going to package this stuff off and get it off to Jerry. Just
Okay.
one of the things, I don't know if you can see it in the background over here. Maybe you can't see my
Just
cameras.
barely.
Can't quite see it, but here's my row of computers and triple eights and GPS RF distribution box, and I am using. I don't have any Bogners. I've run out of Bogners, so they're all in use. So I'm using these are devices that Glenn made a couple of years ago. GPS, his prototype. There was an effort underway at TAPR to productize this and offer it. That kind of got dropped. But the more I learn about Bogners and GPS and so on, the less I'm impressed by the Bogner. I mean, it's useful for our purposes, but it's it's definitely a compromise GPSDO. So I think Glenn's design is significantly better. I think the compromise is in particular in phase noise, because they use a cheap little, well, not cheap, but a relative, temperature compensated oscillator, or a TXCO, but nothing really elaborate inside.
Well, John is the person at Tapper that knows the most about these things.
I haven't, yeah, well, I haven't been in direct contact with John for a while, so I don't.
Yeah, he's been on vacation in California, so.
Oh, well, I don't know if he's nearby. Maybe I could meet him in person.
No, I think he's already headed back.
Oh, okay. Well, let's see what other the we run out of discussion topics this quickly.
Oh, it's 10:19 over here.
I know.
I had taken two of these, or I'd taken the one of these F3060s that I had attached to my station here, and I brought it to K3LR. So
Yeah.
my station's been running without them for the past week. I now have I got some from Paul. So now I'm putting two in. I'm gonna put one in the active vertical over
Mhm.
here and one in the SAS system
Okay.
over here as well. I'm setting it to the 30 megahertz low pass filter.
I don't, I would set it to 60 if you're running at a frequency, because the reason I say that is that um, if there's aliasing from the antennas, amplifier
Yeah.
out in the antenna, your FM station aliases will be more visible in the 30 to 60 megahertz range, right?
Okay.
Because 60 to 80 is 20, so you go from 20 up for your aliases, and it gives you a better idea if there's any problems with the with the FI ingress. So
Okay.
I have made it, in fact, enforced by default. I made it by default that Whisper Demon now runs your 888 at 129.
Right, which we're doing. Now we ended up putting at, so okay, I can switch this one here
Yeah.
to the 60 megahertz again then. But the one at K3LR we set to 30 megahertz
Yeah.
because he has a guy that remotes into his station and
Yes.
operates 6
Operates
meters
on
on a
6 meters.
regular
That was, yes, I remember that.
basis.
Yeah.
And it totally trashes everything.
Yes, it
So
would. Yes, yeah.
so we put the 30 megahertz.
Well, that's the right thing to, of course, that's the right thing to do. But if there's nothing, no other, if if nothing like that is a problem, then the 60 megahertz bandwidth. And of course, it gives you can look at 6 meters, and you wanted to do meteor scatter, and that's kind of on my list. It's behind getting these out to Jerry Butler and getting. I'm really working hard on the installation process to make it to simplify it. I mean, to make it as simple as possible to install these things. I mean, I'm down to the point where I'm actually going to just ask, prompt users for, what's your reporter ID, what's your maidenhead.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff I can't avoid. You have to do a Linux installation. I can't, and set up the user and root accounts. But I'm trying to, after that, make it, you type WD and it walks you through all of those things and prompts you when it and it does all of the user permissions and all of the checking and so on. So that's part of why this has been a week of software development stimulated by this Jerry Butler project. Bulger. I say Butler, but it's Bulger.
Very Bulger.
Yeah.
Right.
I need to go.
Okay.
And I have
so
a
I'll
comment.
say 73.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
I've got my hand
Phil.
up here. Regarding sample rates, that just reminded me. I got a message from Mark VK5QI the other day, who said that when he installed your new Whisper Demon, it upped the sample rate to 129.6, which you didn't want because he's running in a non-climate controlled trailer that's already getting hot and he can't stand the heat. So we got to work on a better way of managing configuration files.
There's only about 2 or 3 of the 100 sites that are that way, and I told them immediately in a chat.
But look, I mean, it's an example of a more general problem of managing
I can't,
configuration
Phil.
files.
Phil,
I have a possible solution. Okay.
What's that? What is
It's
that?
the way Debian handles configuration files. When you do a Debian upgrade, you may have noticed, Debian or probably Ubuntu, that it'll say that it wants to update this configuration file, but you've already updated it locally. What should I do? Have you ever noticed that message?
I have never encountered that message, and
Well, maybe you've never made a local change to a configuration file. Anyway, the way I believe it does it is it keeps a list of hash codes of all the versions of that configuration file that it is distributed. And if the version it finds does not have one of those hash codes, then it assumes that it's been modified locally and it will not touch it. I think this is probably a very good way to do it.
Well, I don't think that would solve the problem here.
It would, because he modified the file locally,
No,
And
he didn't. No,
one,
he didn't. He didn't make any modifications. I modified it internal, and and made it the default. And
oh, all right.
there was never any setting.
All right. Well, look,
Yeah. I mean, you know,
it's the same problem, right? If you want to make a local change to a file, you don't want that overwritten by the next update from upstream.
okay. Yes.
This is a problem that I have run into,
Okay,
and I think
yeah.
I'm going to have to look at how to do this. Okay, and I
Yeah.
believe I know how
Yeah.
Debian does it. I could probably incorporate the same thing in the KNIQ radio, and you should consider doing the same thing in
Uh,
Whisper Demon.
okay. Well, the way my philosophy has been, um, I have a template file. And I copy if there's no whisperdemon.conf at startup time, I copy the template in and say you've got to edit this and put in your call sign in your report, in your maidenhead, your report ID. That's all you
Okay,
really need to
if it's
change
never
there.
been done the first time, sure. Okay.
Okay. After that, I never touch that file. That file it never gets overwritten or changed.
So you never, so even if it wasn't changed the first time.
Well, it has to be changed. I will.
Oh, well,
It
yeah,
has to.
okay. All
The
right.
file has to be different than the template. Okay,
Yeah.
I don't really go. I don't. All I say is it different than the template? If it's
Okay.
different than the template, then I figure
All right.
I'm not.
Of course, that means the user's got to do a lot of complex work, and for many of those variables, the defaults are probably okay. And it's only in the case where somebody changes one of those defaults that you want to be careful not smash it.
Yeah, I thought
If
about this.
you change what the default is, then it's probably reasonable
Yeah,
to change
I
it.
changed. Yeah, yeah. If they made a change, I wouldn't. I would honor their
Yeah.
change. But this was a case where I thought about it, Phil, and I encountered so many sites that had unoptimized FFT, uh, and so many sites that were running without low pass filters at 60 megasamples, and that's just a recipe for in
Problems.
both
I
cases.
know. I agree with you there. I mean, I
Yeah,
was agreeing with
yeah,
you
yeah,
that you
yeah,
should run the higher sample rate.
yeah.
Well, you have to
So
run the higher sample rate if you don't have the right filter. You have to.
yeah, you have to. But even, and so Mark chatted me and on Signal, and as soon as I woke up, I said, well, here's the variable. You can override and
Yeah.
I knew that some people, Uli as an example, uh, and ZD7 GB, those are the only, he and him. There's three sites out of maybe 100 Whisper Demon sites that where there it's appropriate to run at 64 megasamples.
Okay.
So,
All right. I just
so
mentioned it
yeah,
because Mark mentioned it to me.
yeah. Well, Mark, for that's one thing. The second one is I don't believe there's any significant power difference between the two
Yeah.
speeds.
Well,
I think I mean it's hard to measure, and I really don't want to go in. But
yeah, his temperatures didn't seem all that high, but he's also concerned about power consumption because I think he's
Well,
running
that's
four
it,
panels.
and that's and again, that has almost nothing to do with the
Okay.
sample
Well,
rates.
tell him that, and I'll tell him that.
Yeah, yeah. If you encounter
Right.
him, he doesn't interact much with me except to tell me that I've done something terrible. If he
Well,
would
that's true
ask
for most of
me,
us. That's true for most of us, Rob.
so I've so I I mean, all you have to do is contact me if you have a problem. I mean, I'm pretty
Okay. All right.
responsive.
All right.
So
On another topic,
yeah.
I heard you guys talking about bodnars and face and so forth. At the
Yeah.
risk of turning myself into a time nut, I'm starting to work on a little hook in the control program that will log the phase trajectory of the PLL when you enable it.
Mm-hmm.
You could log to a file, and it doesn't. So I don't think you really need anything more complex than just a timestamp and the phase of the PLL as a function of time every time the thing samples. And then you
Mm-hmm.
can run programs on that later that will give you all these nice, pretty Allen variance plots.
Ah, that would be wonderful.
So
That's
I
great.
was experimenting. I had my unit locked to a bodnar, and then
Mm-hmm.
I plugged in a rubidium standard I have here that's borrowed, and just plugged it into the antenna input of a Phobos SDR, which is another direct sample HF unit, just so I wouldn't have to tear off my RX 888.
Yeah.
And then through a 30 dB pad, so it wouldn't blow it out. But still, it gets like an 85. It's like minus 35 dBm, like an 80 some dB to noise ratio. Anyway, and I just let it track for some hours, and I was able to get the frequency tweaked to almost exactly right. And I realized, hey, I got everything I need here to do Allen variance plots for all the time nuts. So that actually should be a fairly simple, straightforward addition to the control program. I don't even need to change radio D.
That's wonderful.
So I
Well,
should have that
that's
for
really,
anybody who
that's
wants to do the rest of the work to make the
yeah.
pretty variance plots.
Well, I hope you seem to have some more contributors than I do. I've so far only got George.
Well,
I but
well, I got the contributors I have are mostly working on K&IQ Web, and those guys have blown
yeah.
away ahead. I can't keep.
Oh, they're going away. That's
Yeah.
a big. That's wonderful, but it's well,
Occasionally they find bugs in K&IQ radio, which I've had to fix. Like I think
Yeah.
I just fixed one.
Yeah, well, I think I'm right now. I think I picked a commit that you made earlier in this month is where I kind of wait around because I
Yeah.
I don't think there's a lot of the changes you're making right now. I don't think are um, relevant
No,
to
some
Mr.
of them are structural. Like I
Yeah.
want to do this because I know it'll make it
Uh,
easier to do something else in the future.
yeah. Well,
Um, I've also
so
begun to use forks, a test branch and
yeah.
the problem is is exactly the problems that I feared it would have, which is it can be difficult and tedious to bring those back into the main branch, especially if I do
Yeah.
it one file at a time or one edit at a time.
I gave up on get forking. I mean,
Well, I don't
I
like
just
breaking things for you guys, so
well,
we want.
that's the problem is that I had is I forked off, created a branch, a GitHub branch for Whisper Daemon to do my work on 3.3. And the project went on, and by the time I kind of had 3.3.1 ready, okay, it was a mess. It took me, I checking it in.
Yeah.
I ended up with the same set of problems. If would have been better off to just keep checking it in, and have people like Guli or others tell me that you just broke it and fix it right away.
Yeah,
I
that's
mean,
exactly what I had been doing, and
and
people.
I think it works just fine. At first I thought, oh, you should have all of these release points and all this stuff. And my son, who's an Apple developer management, said, don't do it. Use a branch for a release. Okay. Don't use it as a development path. So there's
You've just validated my views of all
yeah.
this.
Yes. And so after Peter told me that, I stopped trenching. I mean, I've been on 3.3.1 for I don't know 6 months or something, and I keep putting in commits, and each commit I try to describe what it's about, and it really it tells me
Got
you've
to do
broken something.
my fault is I don't often do regression testing to make sure I haven't broken something else.
Well, you need well, you would hear you see if you
I'll usually hear
you would
about it.
you would hear from Glenn because Glenn is set up to pull your main.
Yeah,
So yeah,
I'll hear
you need
about it.
somebody like Uli who pulls your code, my code every morning. So I hear it.
Well, as long as I hear about it and I can fix it quickly, I don't want to hear about it a month later.
Yes, well, that's the
My stuff's
beauty of
been
that.
broken for a month.
Yes, I know, and that's exactly so.
Also,
I'm
it's why
fortunate.
why I manage so many of those other sites, like the KFS sites,
Yes.
VY0C,
Yeah.
DPGVN. I like to manage those because they're all different in some subtle way, right?
Yes,
And
they
it's more
sure
likely
are.
that I'll find a problem if I
Yeah.
bring up a bunch of sites and if I just do my own.
But by the way, I've had to restart your code a couple of times recently. I think I wrote a Whisper Daemon function, a bash function, that's just a K9Q
Well, if
control
that's true, I'd
function.
like to know why.
Yeah, mostly the only reason I did it was I was on KPH1, and there was a zombie PCM record. It was one of mine. and it looked like it was being spawned by Radio D, and it wasn't. I mean, it
No, I
was
don't find
I
it.
made a mistake, but in trying to debug the debug why I had this zombie PCM record. Um, one of my experiments was that would misunderstood the output of PS and thought it was something that Radio D was under Radio D, but not that you know it was foolish for me to do it. But anyway, it's a it's a few second restart, but that's what I
So
try.
you're
I
restarting
if
unnecessarily is what you're saying when
Yes,
there's
I
a business
basically,
problem.
I have not seen any reason that I need to restart any of your stuff. It's
Okay, other
okay.
than you
Now
fix
I keep it very stable. I mean, I'm not, but a KPH and at KFS and at DP0 and VY0, I I have not I haven't touched any of your code. And when I go in, I'm still using Scott's version of PCM Record, which means
okay.
I have to pull your,
I still need to merge that or
yeah,
merge the functionality or something.
yeah. Well, there's this time accurate recording feature that he's added. So
Right.
it's not time to do it. So in order to build his version, I do a git pull on your code. And then I copy his pcmrecord.c into your directory and make it there. I don't install it. Okay, so it doesn't affect your code. It's not you don't run that version of PCM record. You run the one that's in user local bin.
Okay. Which
So
actually needs to be fixed. I mean, because when samples get lost, it falls out of sync and then I have
yes,
to
yes,
restart it.
yes,
So that does need
yes.
to be fixed.
Yeah. So, but so this build and deploy environment that I have right now works perfectly for me, and
Good.
it allows me to use Scott's code uh, and build it and only execute it. Have Whisper Daemon execute the version of PCM record that it needs while you work and run your version
Okay.
for FT4 and 8.
Which is
And
flawed and I need to fix anyway. So
yeah, well,
I
yeah,
need
yeah,
to
yeah. So, well, for my purposes, I'm pretty well disconnected from you. It all seems to, you and you're, basically the
okay.
only thing I do right now is I do go in and modify. If you haven't done it, I will modify your config files to set 129, but I think you do that as default now, don't you? Did you?
I think
Oh,
so.
okay. You might check.
I'll go check. Yeah.
And on the on the Whisper and WWV channels, I set them to float encode equals float.
Okay. I don't know if I've done that.
Okay. Now I don't know if you have
Remember,
anybody else.
all I do in my configuration in my distributions is I show the configuration files I have. I don't think I
Yeah.
have a default because I don't install any, right? I don't
Well,
write into Etsy Radio,
your make install does an rsync and copies your prototype, your templates into.
not into Etsy Radio.
Yeah, I believe
I
it
don't
does.
copy
Yes.
it. I don't touch Etsy Radio. I
I
got bit too many times smashing people's local configurations.
Really? Okay. Well,
Yeah,
then maybe
stopped
I
doing
do.
that a while ago.
I've forgotten how that. Maybe I'm the one who does that then. But I thought I saw you do an rsync when I in your.
I do a bunch of rsyncs, but I don't do it to Etsy Radio not anymore. I haven't done it in months
Oh,
because
oh,
I was
okay.
afraid of
Well, okay.
smashing people. So that's why I was talking about this
Okay. Well, they're talking
scheme
about
of
what?
looking at hash
Yeah.
codes.
Well, I do. Okay. Well, then maybe I've forgotten what I did. My installer for your stuff. I've forgotten some.
Okay. Oh, and another topic bringing up Debian 13 Trixie. They do not yet have an image for the Raspberry Pi, but I am building one.
Oh.
I found that it actually is possible to install a Debian 12 image, the bookworm
Well,
image.
I haven't.
Yeah, and then do an update. It is possible.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't done an install on a Raspberry Pi or even an old Think Center
Okay.
in months. So
I'm moving away from Pis also, but I have some.
Yeah, I think, I think people don't understand, think the Pi 5 is a real step
any
up from
pie. The
the,
problem with the pie is that it looks seductive enough. It looks cheap, but then by the time you do all the you have to put it in a case, you have to cool it, you have to give it a power supply.
Yeah.
It starts to become a real pain. And I've since coalescing on a bunch of your B-Link boxes, I
Yeah,
bought
I think that,
two
yeah,
of them recently. I'm actually buying a third so I can ship one up to the Owl Telescope Array, install one there.
yeah, well, that I am still, learning that about how to fully optimize the installation of Debian on them. I mean, it's I- it's
Yeah,
the
I would, but my personal preference there was to stick with the latest Debian and don't use Ubuntu.
Yeah, well, I'm following you on that because also in part because that's what I tell people is that Phil will guarantee that whatever happens,
Yeah, whatever
whatever
happens on
breaks
latest Debian, I'll fix. Right. I don't
you'll
want to have to fix
Debian.
10 zillion different,
Yeah,
two, three
you
different
don't want a
versions.
different,
Right.
and I see no reason not to use the Debian. It's it's perfectly,
Yeah,
it
and you're
has
not
all
even
the
using the
resources.
desktop. It's the desktops that differ, and I'm not even.
Yeah.
This is all
Yeah,
headless server stuff.
I don't know that I don't know that there's any cost to the fact Debian 13 doesn't really have a server install, right? It has just installs with the desktop, but it must be, I assume it's,
Well, there's a standard release that I don't think has a desktop.
uh,
There's a whole bunch of install images, one with each of the different desktops,
um,
and there's
yeah,
one without any desktop.
yeah. Well,
Um,
I
I
don't
know
mind
they're
that.
all there because I do BitTorrent on all of them.
Yeah, yeah.
I have
Well,
those.
I've been wanting, I like having the terminal as an option. So, and GUI,
Oh, sure.
I did the GUI install, used the GUI
Yeah.
installer and,
And the Pi has three, one of which is without a GUI,
yeah, okay.
because a
Well,
lot
I
of
did.
people run those headless also.
Okay. Well, anyway, I'm sitting here looking at this installation. I'm not running anything, but this is basically idle with a 888 installed on this. This is an 8745. This is the one I want to ship off to WWV. And when we get the Paul's time injector working with it, that's my plan. Yeah, but in the meantime, it's 7.8 watts. I mean, it's
Okay.
not.
Yeah, you've been doing most of the work on CP power, so I definitely want to get your advice on this, especially for systems
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
shipping away.
yeah. Now the thing I haven't done is that I think we've discussed this before. Just since we're talking about power, is that the the spectrum threads that you spawn off when a QWeb attaches.
Yeah.
Those spectrum threads really should not run on the same cores.
I know you keep saying that. I know I want to do that. I just got to find out what to do, and
I
I
don't know
also want to do it the right way.
I'm not sure you're the right one to do it even though, but I'm kind of reviewing it again. I mean, I'm not sure what other things are assigned. I mean, Whisper Demon knows where it wants to run K9Q Web,
Right.
where it wants to run Radio D and K9 and the Spectrum stuff. It knows.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that there's a way for
Yeah,
you
but
to know
you
that.
don't actually have an easy from the outside. You don't have a way of telling my threads my
Oh yes,
different threads where to run.
oh yeah, absolutely. I can run task set. There's a command, a Linux command called task set. I can take your PID.
Within you can tell different threads in KNIQ radio.
Yes, I can.
Oh, all
Yes,
right.
I can from the Linux command line, the task set command. You have to run it a super user, but you give it the PID and you tell it which CPU you want that PID to be moved to.
Oh, okay. All right.
So
Easier said than done.
my plan was to just wake up periodically every 10 seconds or something, or I'm trying to think of some place that wakes up and just look for spectrum threads. And if they're not on core, make sure they're running on a different core. So there may be a period of time of whatever the interval of when somebody opens QWeb, you will spawn it and it will be on the same core as the as FFT
or whatever. Well, it's
But
wherever the
yeah,
kernel
but
puts it.
there's always enough CPU time because the proc is never that busy. It's not as busy as the
Okay.
FFT. So Linux will put the Spectrum thread on the same core as your proc, 888. And then 10 seconds later, Whispered Email will come along and say, "Oh, Spectrum thread, get off of core 1. I want you on core 15 or or in this
Yeah.
range." Actually, you don't need, you can even tell it not, you can give it a range of cores that it can run on, which is even
Right.
better. So you can specify one core or a range of cores, and they can even be a disjoint range, which they need to be because of the CPU caching architecture, some
Right.
caches. So
They're
anyway,
different. Yeah.
so I think that you may see on Whisper, I don't know if you look at Whisper Daemon systems even, but on them you may see that
Well,
when
I
I
actually want to bring it up. This is a good opportunity to bring up Whisper Demon from scratch because I've retired the machine Terry that I had. It's
yeah,
some really
yeah,
old Celeron.
yeah,
As
that
I've
was
been
a
moving my hardware around, and I would like to install it on the machine that is currently running the.
you know what would be a great project for you is to attach more than one 888 to your B-Link.
Well, I could at the moment. The problem is I'm running out of USB ports. I'm having to learn how USB controllers are assigned.
That's but yeah,
Because I
one of the
got
things.
the other machine is running four, actually three air spies plus
Mhm.
a Hydra, which is a clone of an air
Yeah,
spy.
yeah.
And it's funny, you got to be careful where you plug things so that they won't try to put two of them in one controller.
That was, I was wondering about that. I guess that the USB transfers put the USB controller into a burst mode that makes it
No,
incompatible
it's
with
not
it.
not burst mode. It's what speed it is because the it's the speed of the device that apparently causes the hardware to connect it to a certain controller, and you don't want to have more than one air spy per XHCI, whatever it is, at full
Yeah,
speed.
yeah,
Yeah, full
uh,
speed, super speed, all these,
yeah, yeah,
you know.
yeah,
And you don't want to have two of these devices because they only speak 480. They only speak the 480 megabit version of USB, which I think
yeah,
full speed. And you don't
yeah.
want
That's
two of
full
those on
speed.
the
Yeah,
same controller because each one of them spits out a constant 240 megabit per second stream. You want each one of those on its own controller. And I've
okay,
discovered this.
controller can't switch transfers, burst transfers, and
Well,
yeah.
no, it's a bus. Remember
Oh,
that
there's only
bandwidth
gonna
is
be
only
this is gonna,
yeah,
it runs at
even though it's
480 and
not
you get
really, it
to,
doesn't look like a
yeah,
bus anymore. It's
yeah,
still a bus.
yes, of
Logically, there's
course,
only one
yeah,
transmitter. So if you
yes,
have
I
two of
see,
them on
but
there, they
yeah,
start interfering with each other.
yeah, I could
So
see that, yeah.
and apparently, and I'm still learning all this stuff. Apparently, all the modern machines, the connectors are not actually hardwired to a controller. There's a
Mm-hmm.
switch inside that selects a controller depending on what speed the device is running at, whether it's super
Bye,
speed.
Nathaniel.
Bye, Rob.
Yeah, but did
Bye,
you get
Phil.
did you upgrade your systems?
I upgraded my systems to running, so we'll see if it uploads to Alabama. I put the new filters in. They're both set to the 60 megahertz. So hopefully everything
Okay,
will
well,
work.
okay, well, if it doesn't, let me
Yeah.
know. I
And
don't have time to check everybody's,
no, I know. So I'm trying to check it. But yeah, I'll let you know if it works. And I guess one other thing you might want to be aware of is we're the Jenny Jump Observatory
yeah,
has a museum there.
yeah.
And so I bought a computer to put in the museum, and we're having a local ham named Nick Straka, who's a broadcast engineer. He's going to be developing some sort of a museum exhibit that integrates the web SDR and the spot interface and all the
Oh, great.
spots. So we'll have some prototype museum
Yeah,
display
you
of
know, we
this
kind
stuff.
of dropped the ball with Phil Barnard about
Yeah, I should
continuously
pick that up.
upgrading.
I
Yeah.
know. I have that email in my email box still marked as unread, like I need to reply to. I just ran out of steam.
Maybe you could get this guy to do it out at Jenny Jump. He could work on it if he's
Yeah. So yeah, I'll talk to him. Well, we have Owen who's developing the DX
Oh
contesting
yes,
dashboard.
yes.
So you know, we have that running at K3LR now, and that basically shows real-time updates of spots. So I think we're going to put the same thing up at Jenny Jump as well. So yeah.
Okay. Well,
So
then anyway, it'd be good. Phil Barnard was immediately responsive. So I
Okay.
always when somebody goes to the
So,
trouble, I like
yes,
to acknowledge.
I will acknowledge him. So I apologize.
Even if you just said sorry, you know, we've been so busy, we appreciate it. That would be good.
Yes.
You know,
I will make sure I do that.
yeah.
So.
Okay. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Good night.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you, Phil.
Yeah.
Thanks, everyone.
Okay. Okay.
Bye.
See ya.
Okay. See you.